Hey there, Roothaven Grounds family. Let me tell you about something that's been bothering me for years, and I bet you've noticed it too. Remember when you could grab a bag of potting soil and actually feel its weight, knowing you were getting your money's worth? Well, I've got news that might make your blood boil a little, but stick with me because I'm going to show you exactly how to fight back and come out winning. Here's what's happening, and it's so subtle that the industry hoped we wouldn't catch on. Over the past decade, potting soil bags have been playing a disappearing act. That bag you're holding, it probably says something like compressed for your convenience or concentrated formula on it. Sounds fancy, right? But here's the truth. What used to be 2 cubic feet of soil is now 1.5 cubic feet, sometimes even less. And the price? Oh, that either stayed the same or went up. I first noticed this trick about 5 years ago when I was restocking my greenhouse. I'd always bought the same brand, knew exactly how many bags I needed for my raised beds, and suddenly I was coming up short. Not by a little bit either. I was missing nearly a third of the soil I needed. At first I thought I'd miscalculated, but then I started really looking at those bags. The manufacturers got clever about this. They made the bags taller and narrower, so at first glance they look similar in size. They added more air to the mix, making it fluffier and lighter. They started calling it expanded or moisture-enhanced soil, which sounds like you're getting more, but you're actually getting significantly less actual growing medium. Now you might be thinking, it's just a little less soil, what's the big deal? But let me break down why this matters, especially for those of us who've been gardening for decades and know what real quality looks like. First, we're not just losing volume. When companies compress soil or add more filler materials to bulk it up cheaply, they're often compromising on the quality ingredients. That premium composted bark you're paying for, there's less of it. The perlite that provides crucial drainage? Reduced. The actual nutritious compost that feeds your plants? You guessed it, skimped on. I've done side-by-side comparisons in my own garden, and the difference is stark. Plants in properly amended, quality soil from 10 years ago consistently outperformed the same varieties in today's equivalent products. We're talking about differences in root development, flowering, and overall plant vigor that you can see with your own eyes. Let me share my foolproof method for evaluating potting soil before it ever leaves the store. This is what I do every single time now, and it's saved me hundreds of dollars and countless headaches. First, ignore the front of the bag completely. Marketing departments work overtime to distract you with pretty pictures and impressive claims. Flip that bag over and look for the actual cubic footage or volume measurement. Compare it to the bag's physical size. If you're holding what looks like a big bag but it only contains 1 cubic foot, you're looking at mostly air and filler. Next, feel the bag. Give it a good squeeze from multiple angles. Quality potting soil should feel substantial and relatively uniform throughout. If you feel large air pockets or the bag compresses down to nearly nothing, that's a red flag. Premium soil has body to it, even when it's been sitting on the shelf for a while. Look at the ingredient list like you'd read a food label. The first few ingredients should be things you recognize and want: composted bark, peat moss or cocoa coir, perlite, and compost. If you see forest products or processed wood products listed first, that's often code for cheap filler. Nothing wrong with wood products and soil, but they shouldn't be the star of the show. Here's where we really outsmart the system. I'm going to walk you through creating your own potting mix that's not only better than what you can buy, but often cheaper too, especially when you're working with multiple containers or raised beds. So, start with a base of quality ingredients bought in bulk. I get compressed bales of peat moss or cocoa coir, which expand to give you genuine volume. A single compressed bale can expand to fill multiple bags worth of soil. Then, add perlite for drainage, which you can buy in large bags at a fraction of the per unit cost of bagged soil. After that, incorporate finished compost, either from your own pile or bought in bulk from a local supplier. My go-to recipe that served me beautifully for years is this: 1 part peat moss or cocoa coir, 1 part perlite or coarse sand, 1 part finished compost, and 1 part quality topsoil or composted bark. Mix these thoroughly, and you've got yourself premium growing medium that rivals anything on the market. Now let me tell you about the absolute game changer in my gardening life: finding local soil suppliers. Most areas have landscape supply companies that sell soil, compost, and amendments in bulk. We're talking about buying by the cubic yard instead of the cubic foot. Do the math with me here. A cubic yard is 27 cubic feet. If you're paying $15 for a bag containing 1.5 cubic feet at the big box store, you're paying $10 per cubic foot. A cubic yard of quality garden mix from a local supplier, often between $30 to $60, which breaks down to roughly $2 per cubic foot. That's an 80% savings, and usually the quality is superior because these places cater to professional landscapers who demand consistency. I started getting my soil this way 3 years ago, and I'll never go back. I pull up with my truck or trailer, they load me up with exactly what I need, and I've got enough premium growing medium to last me an entire season for less than I used to spend on a month's worth of bagged soil. Here's another way I've completely changed my approach: buying quality soil amendments separately and boosting whatever bagged soil I do buy. Even if you grab a mediocre bag of potting mix, you can transform it into something spectacular. I keep worm castings, bone meal, blood meal, kelp meal, and mycorrhizal fungi on hand. When I'm potting up plants, I add a handful of worm castings and a sprinkle of mycorrhizae to whatever soil I'm using. This approach gives me consistent results regardless of which base soil I'm working with, and it actually ends up costing less than buying premium bagged mixes. The key is understanding what your plants actually need. Most bagged soils are designed to be adequate for everything, which means they're not optimized for anything. By customizing your amendments, you're giving your specific plants exactly what they need to thrive. Let me share a secret that saved me a fortune. Timing your soil purchases strategically. Late fall and early spring are when garden centers are desperate to move inventory. I've scored bags of premium potting soil for 50% off or more simply by shopping in November or March. Stock up during these sales even if you don't need soil immediately. Potting soil stores beautifully if you keep it in a sealed container, or even just in the bag with some duct tape over any tears. I have a designated corner of my garage where I stack my off-season scores, and come planting time I'm ready to go without paying peak season prices. We need to talk about those bags screaming premium and professional grade while charging double or triple the price. Sometimes you're paying for genuine quality. Other times, you're paying for marketing genius. I've tested dozens of these so-called premium mixes against mid-range options amended with quality additions, and you know what? The amended mid-range soil often performs just as well or better. The secret isn't finding the most expensive bag. It's understanding what makes soil actually premium and being willing to create that yourself. That said, there are some genuinely superior products out there. They're usually identified by their ingredient transparency, their reputation among serious growers, and their consistent performance. These are worth paying extra for when you're doing important propagation or growing particularly finicky plants. For everything else, make your own improvements. Look, I know this article might sound like I'm ranting, but I'm genuinely frustrated on behalf of all of us who love this hobby and deserve better. The gardening industry should be supporting us, not playing tricks and hoping we won't notice the steady decline in value and quality. The good news is that we're smarter than they think. We're resourceful, we're observant, and we're willing to do what it takes to grow incredible gardens. By understanding these tactics and using the strategies I've shared, you're not just saving money, you're taking control of your gardening success and refusing to accept mediocrity. Your plants don't know or care about marketing claims. They respond to quality growing medium, proper nutrients, and attentive care. When you provide those things, whether through smart shopping, DIY mixing, or finding better local sources, your garden will flourish in ways that make every bit of effort worthwhile. I hope this deep dive has opened your eyes and armed you with the knowledge to make better soil choices. I'd love to hear your experiences. Have you noticed the shrinking bag phenomenon? What tricks have you discovered for getting quality soil without breaking the bank? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because we learn best when we share our wisdom with each other. And hey, if you found this information valuable, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Here at Roothaven Grounds, we're building a community of gardeners who refuse to settle for less than their plants deserve. Share this article with your fellow gardeners, especially those who might be getting taken advantage of without realizing it. Together, we're smarter, stronger, and growing better gardens than ever. Until next time, keep your hands dirty and your standards high.